AWS presents Blueprint of Banking Innovation in association with cnbc TV18.com.
Hello everyone and welcome to Blueprint of Banking Innovation, a part of our series on leading in the digital era. The show is a presentation by AWS in association with cnbc TV18.com. I am Lata Venkatesh. In this insightful session, we dive into how banking leaders are leveraging technology to stay resilient and agile in today's digital-first landscape. According to Deloitte's survey on digital banking maturity, Indian banks have outpaced the global average in digital maturity. So, how are Indian banks thinking about strategies for future-proofing businesses, harnessing the power of AI and cloud for stability? How are they looking at enhancing technology resilience with advanced cybersecurity? And how are they prioritizing customer experience? For all these questions, we are joined by a visionary leader in digital banking, in fact, in the banking industry, Mr. V. Vaidyanathan, CEO of IDFC Bank. Mr. Vaidyanathan, thank you very much for joining us. The choice of IDFC Bank and Vaidyanathan is deliberate because we consider you a digital-first bank, a digital native, so to speak. But before I come to that, for the wider audience, how are bankers thinking about technology? What are the key areas first?
Very simple. See, the experience customers are having outside of banking is dramatically changed, whether Facebook or Instagram, everything. You see how the experience layers are, how the hyper-personalization is, how easily you can click screens, all that. So the banking system is a regulated industry. There are a lot of responsibilities. There's also a growing industry, and Indian economy is sprinting. So on one hand, we're seeing big opportunities to grow. Other hand, we are seeing technology changing, and when you put the two together, you can expand, the landscape dramatically, and also improve customer experiences in a very meaningful way. So the whole technology stack that banks are putting together has a very, very big impact on how the experience layer will be.
All right, so both macro and micro in terms of customer satisfaction. Let me come to your specific experience. You, of course, had some experience in legacy banking in your previous avatar in ICICI Bank. But when you came to IDFC Bank, you were kind of digital native. You didn't have a legacy. So tell us, how did you think you could compete with the giants who had already arrived?
Lata, on this, you will definitely remember your conversation with me. We had exactly a talk like this. And the key concern of a bank at that point of time was that, guys, you guys have a 1 lakh crore loan book after merger. You don't have retail deposits, only 10,000 crores. So you're going to take a long time just to measure up to what you already have. So how are you going to grow? That was a concern. So if we had taken to build the bank, so that 10,000 crore deposits, you have to hold your breath, Lata, is today retail deposits of 10,000 crores at merger. In just 6 years, we're not even celebrated a 6th birth anniversary yet. It's already 1,80,000 crore.
Ooh, that is what, 15x?
That's on 15x, right? I mean, it's on like 70,000 crore, 17x. Now, and growing at 30%. Now, it is not logical. So just like you remember how the Jio moment happened, and suddenly the whole ecosystem changed and they got millions of customers, like that, we wrote a digital landscape. And we clearly thought that if we had to build the bank the traditional way, like many of the banks have built, it would take 30 years, or 20 years, or 15 years to build this. We didn't have so much time. So we think of it that digital was the bit of a magic carpet to cover up a lot of distance.
A lot of time.
A lot of time.
Okay, so let me take product by product. Deposits. I mean, you have bank branches so that you can attract deposits. How did you all scale on deposits? That's the most difficult product.
I know that is the hardest thing, and even more difficult than lending money, because in deposit people have to leave money with you.
Yes.
You're not, right?
Yes.
So what we did was that by the way, just to tell you that for the kind of deposits we have only 1,000 branches. Only 1,000 branches, not even touch 1,000 branches today. How is it possible? So it's not about the branch. That's the point. It's not about the branch. People are hardly coming to the branch anymore.
Yes.
So we have developed our capabilities, our mobile app capabilities in such a way that not just do normal transaction, which is like, seeing a balance and all that's pretty routine. We have stacked up 5 or 6 solutions on top of it, which has made it very sticky for the customer. And once the customer gets used to the full stack of services, then they don't go. So that's one very big thing. So those stack of services could be that, investment options, your loan options, your mutual fund options, your wealth management options, retirement planning solutions, financial planning, customer service, payments. So if you stack up so many services, it just makes it more sticky.
Now, how do you let people know that you have all this? Is there a way you digitally capture customers? I mean, of course, we know that you have very good advertising as well, but is there, technology or AI used even in that sphere?
Frankly, general advertising is useless. Okay, you might see that front page newspaper advertisements, we hardly put them. Once in a while turn out, but we don't put it because they're useless. People forget the next day. So the digital kind of advertising, which reaches the right segment. For example, we pick a segment of yours, and we have something called look-alike. So we do a test, rapid testing, A/B testing of that, and depending on that, we reach out to many people of that profile. Then the marketing dollars are used much more effectively. And rest, it goes by word of mouth. By the way, just to tell you that we have, if I'm not mistaken, something like about 15 million downloads already. 15 million downloads in 5 years.
Okay. Yeah, I can imagine, because a satisfied customer is perhaps the best advertisement that a bank or any institution can have. Now, as you said, deposit is an important part. The other point where you touch the customer is when you're recovering money. How do you use technology over there?
In a big way. See, literally, Lata, first of all, everything has changed in 5 years. Okay, like 5 years has changed everything, like in India. So not long ago, because when we started Capital First, as you know, you have been meeting me for a long time, we were very used to giving these small ticket loans at 20%, 28%.
And I would have thought that is labor intensive.
Labor
because
intensive.
You have to go and ask for the money.
Yes. So before I come to collections, I'll tell you how that loan is given in the first place. It's very interesting for you. So when we started in Capital First in 2010, at that point of time, our cost of funds was 11, 12%, 13%. So we couldn't compete with banks. So we started lending to these small entrepreneurs, kirana shops, etc. at maybe 20%. So those days, not very long ago, like 10, 15 years from 12 years, 14 years before today, for giving 20,000 loans, we had 200 underwriters. Okay, every underwriter was doing 100 loans a month. Today, of that same business, we're doing 3.5 lakh loans a month. And guess how many underwriters we should have today?
Some X of 200 you should.
We call it 1,000 or 2,000, whatever. Zero.
Same 200?
Zero.
Okay.
Even those 200 don't exist anymore.
All right.
So every one of those loans are now given algorithmically. So that is the power of how this whole technology is playing.
Okay. You have not experienced, I mean, obviously, we look at your quarterly and it's not showing any increase in bad loans to the extent that it should. These algos work so well?
I'll tell you how the algo works. It's a very important question. So how the algo works is that when the customer is applying for a loan, first check the identity. Now you go and hit the Aadhaar, and then you get the identity from there. You go to NSDL, and then you get the details from there, and then you match the two. All this done instantly, algorithmically. Then that is UID I meant. Then after that, you go and then you have to do some fraud income checks. For that, you go to the bureau, and bureau doesn't do income, but gives you a proxy for income. Then from there, we go and do some fraud checks. In fraud checks, for example, if somebody is 45 years old, PAN card is say 1 year old, right? We say, man, something is missing. What were you doing? You're not filing a tax return for what? For 40 years or what, or 30 years. So we say, okay, no, something is fraud here. Somebody lives in, say, Kandivali, coming to buy a television, say in Nariman Point. The system algorithmically finds out the customer is going somewhere else to buy a TV, while they could have bought the same TV next to their home. So all these algorithms are working on the fly. Better than what human beings can do. That's the point.
Naturally.
Better than what human beings can do. So you said delinquency shouldn't go up by algorithm. It gets better because human beings cannot do that.
You cannot look at 1,000 parameters.
Lastly, not last, but a couple of more things. So now we discussed identity with income. We talked of fraud. Then there are employee frauds. Algorithmically, you can find it out. Then there are dealer frauds. Algorithmically, you can find it out. A customer-initiated frauds, if you fiddle with your phone too much, right? Those you can find out. Then which normal human beings can't find out. Then for documentation, you can do and hit one API and do e-sign, e-agreement, e-mandate. So whatever is done by human being is done by the machine more efficiently, more accurately, low cost, and that 200 employees is down to zero.
Well, when the word cloud came to Indian banking, I remember a lot of bankers were not very comfortable because they were used to housing their technology in-house. Now it is, outside. How do you negotiate these problems? And does the cloud offer you other advantages? And therefore you are willing to migrate data?
See, cloud is a very powerful technology and has made a huge difference to us. And we are using cloud extensively. I would say, if I were to put a number, probably 40% of our banks in the cloud, which is migrated from, say, maybe 4-5%, maybe 5-6 years ago. So what we have done is that there are some things that we have not moved to the cloud. Like your core applications are cloud ready, like your core banking system and your credit card system and these are cloud ready, but moving them to the cloud would be like lifting and shifting a existing platform. They don't add much value. And regulatory reporting will not move to the cloud. So some things are on-prem. But our entire customer engagement layer has moved to the cloud. Our entire mobile app, I told you, like 14-15 million downloads. By the way, Lata, it is a Google rating, the rating of 4.8, 4.9.
Ooh.
4.8, 4.9. That's really something. So, and the App Store rating 4.8 again. So that customer experience comes from the cloud. So our mobile has moved to the cloud. Our internet banking has moved to the cloud. Our number of internal enterprise services have moved to the cloud. Our dedupe mechanism has moved to the cloud. So a lot of these services all moved to the cloud. And we have found that by moving all the technologies, all these services to the cloud and customer-facing engagement layers to the cloud, the customer experience dramatically shoots up. So we are big believers in the cloud, and we think that all of the products made cloud native makes a big difference.
No, actually, when I spoke to bankers 3-4 years ago, I could see the tussle. They could see that there was an advantage in the cloud, but because they had housed all the data with themselves, it was a wrench. I mean, are we making it unsafe? You don't have any security issues.
No, on the contrary, Lata. When we talked about the 40% thing, people compute 40 in different ways. Yes. So somebody could compute the same as 40 or 30 depending on how they look at it. But let me put our number somewhere there. Now, since we have moved a substantial part to the cloud, we are experienced on the cloud. So we are using it for it. In fact, the benefit of cloud today, because we started investing 5 years ago.
Okay.
So we have gone
you're able to use more ML or
all that. So I'll give you a quick example on the ML front. So I'll come to ML in a moment. So coming back to this one. So we have now achieved certain amount of maturity on that space, and cloud enhances security. The tools are better. There are other issues of the cloud which we'll talk about if we have time for that, which also important to consider. But the scalability, the power, the ability to use the security actually better.
So Vaidyanathan, we were talking about the advantages that cloud offers and the fact that it is secure. Tell us more. I mean, are there any issues, or do you think more will migrate to the cloud?
See, like we discussed before, the cloud, if somebody just lifts and puts their application on the cloud, they are not much use. It's of use only when you use the tools that come along with it. And there are a bunch of long list of tools that come with it, which helps you personalize, etc. There are many powerful benefits. But the issue is also there. The other day we were doing cost-cutting measures at our bank, and we figured out that our people had gone and reserved a certain amount of parking space out there, and the bank was not using that amount of space anyway. So and then we of course released it and saved some money. But the point is that we need equally high-quality people at our end.
In your case, of course, you have been able to.
We have been a big beneficiary of it. See, we think of us like a digital bank. We think like that, okay? The quality of people we hire, the way we hack our processes, the way we think of the UI UX layer, the way we think of the journeys, talent we acquire from the organizations, the stack. We try to think of like a digital bank and build everything digitally.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I can see even when Reserve Bank thought of the CBDC, they picked your bank right in the beginning because they could see that you were digitally prepared. Now, I want you to give us some idea of where banking itself and IDFC Bank is headed in terms of digital transformation. Where do you think is the next big leap?
See, I'll tell you where the big leap is. Just understand the tech a little bit so you'll understand better. See, in the tech stack, typically you'll find the applications, you'll find the middleware, you'll find a lot of engagement layers, you'll find the channels, etc. That's traditional, it always exists. What IDFC has done really special, and that makes it different, that very useful, is that we built a really fantastic data platform. Data platform different than data lake, right? So it's level up, right? Don't think of data mart. Don't think of data lake, now think of data platform. Okay, and in the platform now all systems are not talking to the platform, feeding supplying to the platform, bit of a hybrid. And that platform, then we have ML capabilities, which works on the data on the platform. For example, on the platform in many legacy institutions, you'll find Lata Venkatesh, you'll find L Venkatesh, you'll find different names. They can't even figure out who you are, right? So with the stack being very powerful, then you have this, then you have ML capability, then you have AI capability, and then you feed the engagement layer through this personalization, the experience dramatically goes up, dramatically. And there's a huge difference between traditional banking and digital banking just by the power of the stack.
Okay. Let your imagination run wild. What do you think is the next big thing that is about to hit banking? And my personal example always is DigiYatra. I mean, UPI was a great moment for all of us. DigiYatra, suddenly we are all just walking because we've already done the KYC at home. You see something like that?
Very big ones are coming up. So we are working on many of them at this point of time because, like I said, we just enjoy being on the cutting edge of technology, okay? Like, it's just a joy by itself, and of course, it also helps us do great business and all that. The big 2-3 things are coming up. One is that the generative AI is a very powerful thing, okay? And we have, at this point of time, actually building capabilities to consume from, whether it's OpenAI or Llama or Anthropic, wherever we can consume it. Our ability to use it, for example, let me give easy to understand example, okay, which you'll really get it in 10 seconds. Now, running a call center. So in the call center, you are, suppose you made 100,000 calls. Now, normally somebody's sample would call our quality manager would pick up sample of 2-3% of the calls and see how the employees are talking. That's all you can do as a human being. Now you can take 80% of these calls, 80,000 or 100,000 calls, feed it all to a GenAI model, and it can tell you that in these many cases your employees raised the voice, your employee was abusive, or the customer was abusive. So instead of sampling 2%, sample 80%. So it just changes the game. So this is the kind of power that's coming up. But to your question about what looking ahead.
What is the next best big thing?
It's the next big thing. The next big thing, 2 big things are coming up. One is conversational AI. So conversational AI, which means that today your contact center, you are calling some human being is picking up. Imagine for a minute it's not a human being.
Okay, it's a bot.
Okay, it's a bot. But that bot, to be successful, it needs an orchestration layer, it needs a intelligence layer, it needs a workflow, it needs an integration. That bot has to be sophisticated. Then the bot can communicate with the customer. So it's a big thing coming up because, of course, very exciting. But service standards can go up dramatically. Credit cost can come down through these models. The cost can come down. So this is our way, because our cost-to-income ratio is 72%, right? It was 92. So how can 92 come to 42, 72 in the first place? Technology's made it happen, and technology is the only bullet which will take us forward in the future as well.
This is really fascinating. And does your cybersecurity protect you from all this? You feel confident it will not give away some data?
No, cybersecurity is the most important of all of these. Okay, most important. Like we discuss so many technologies, but all need a protective cover.
Drawing from so many places and reaching out to so many millions.
So
you feel safe.
So we, you'll never feel very safe. Okay, this is a very tense world. So, but at the same time, we have to invest into it. The next bigger is fraud. So again, fraud will need some coverage. Cybersecurity will need some coverage, and they will need some real attention.
Okay. A legendary City banker once said that I am no longer a bank. I am a technology company with a banking license. I think you exemplify it far more than any other banker I have met.
We love it.
It was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much, Mr. Vaidyanathan.
AWS presents Blueprint of Banking Innovation in association with cnbc TV18.com.